This morning on Fox 43 Featured, a man wanted in connection to a deadly crash that ended in the Susquehanna River was arrested in New York this week. And doctors say more people are using cryotherapy to help with recovery, how it works and who may benefit from it. Plus, National Roller Coaster Day is this weekend, how Hershey Park built itself into a destination for thrill seekers and what the process is like when considering a new attraction. Fox 43 Featured starts right now. Thanks for watching Fox 43 Featured. I'm Natalie Caranda. A man is being extradited to Manor Township, Lancaster County, after he was arrested in New York City this week in connection to a deadly crash that left two vehicles submerged in the Susquehanna River. 23-year-old Mikhail Cotton was taken into custody 2 weeks after leaving the scene. Fox 43's Matt Kleindinst explains what comes next and who police are still searching for.
2 weeks after a crash left two cars in the Susquehanna River, a man is set to face charges for the death of a 20-year-old woman. On Wednesday, Manor Township Police announced the arrest of 23-year-old Mikhail Cotton in New York City after he was last seen fleeing the scene on Water Street.
They were doing a targeted enforcement action there. They encountered a couple of individuals which fled. They gave chase, and they ended up taking Mr. Cotton into custody.
Cotton was arrested on stolen gun and drug charges and will eventually be extradited to face charges for killing Sage Zink.
The Lancaster County District Attorney's Office has already started the extradition procedures. We don't know how long that will take place.
A few days after the crash, a music video was posted onto Facebook, seemingly showing Mikhail Cotton apologizing for the death of Sage Zink. In it, he said he was moving too fast and didn't think he would lose control. He also said that he fled the scene after failing to reach for Sage.
We're not treating it as a confession at this point. It is part of our active investigation. We haven't confirmed the authenticity with him.
Officials say they're looking to interview one other person who was seen on camera leaving the scene. They also say they're trying to determine whether the two cars were racing prior to the crash.
That reconstruction is going to take some time, and that, as with many things, is ongoing.
Matt Kleindinst, Fox 43 News.
Investigators say Cotton gave a false name when he was arrested. As Matt mentioned, Manor Township Police say they have not been able to interview Savannah McFerrin yet, and they are asking her to come forward and speak with an officer. This crash in Lebanon County has people in Swatara Township calling for change. It happened last week and left two garages destroyed. A car hit a tractor trailer, sending it into the garages right by the home along Route 72, one of the busiest roads in the township. At a meeting last night, homeowners in the area asked the township officials to make ways to make Route 72 safer. Fox 43's Matt Kleindinst explains why they say a change is long overdue.
Cleanup continues outside this Swatara Township home as neighbors demand improvements to the township's busiest road.
My family is now in a situation where we feel unsafe in our home.
People came out to the Swatara Township building to call on municipal leaders to order a safety study of the Route 72 Thompson Avenue intersection. This comes after a crash caused a tractor trailer to slam into this garage. Homeowners Mark and Brianna Taylor say this is the fourth time their property has sustained significant damage from a crash at that intersection, leaving their family worried about their safety. They also say they've been asking officials to do a study for more than a decade.
We have not seen any safety improvements or seen the proper paperwork filed, which is a traffic study. This all starts at the township level.
I honestly think there's not a problem there. Like I said, I come through there 6 times this week.
According to PennDOT officials, safety studies have to be requested by the municipality. During the meeting, Swatara Township officials balked at submitting the request, claiming it would cost taxpayers too much money.
The township's decision always was, why spend $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 for a study when PennDOT's going to say it doesn't meet the criteria?
A traffic study is free. It's their road. PennDOT's road.
Residents say they will continue fighting for change to protect themselves and their neighbors.
If the improvements aren't going to happen, I can't stay there. where am I going? You know, next it's going to be my kids. It's going to be somebody.
Township officials say they will reach out to PennDOT about trimming the hedges near the Thompson Avenue stop sign. Matt Kleinden's Fox 43 News.
In Harrisburg, a major project is coming to the Market Street Bridge, which will mean years of construction and traffic impacts. Fox 43's Milena Brown explains what drivers can expect as PennDOT plans to start the work next year.
For the thousands of people who cross the Market Street Bridge every day, the next several years could come with detours and lane restrictions. PennDOT is planning a nearly $150 million project to rehabilitate both spans of the bridge that connect Harrisburg and Cumberland County to City Island.
The Market Street Bridge averages around 11,000 vehicles a day. So shutting down lanes and implementing detours is going to impact quite a few folks. So we're doing everything we can to mitigate those impacts, but this is something that's been on our radar for many years.
The project is expected to take 6 years and will have about 4 years of traffic impacts. During the different phases, you may have to take a longer route to get where you need to go.
As the various phases are underway, there may be detours for folks leaving the City Island. For instance, if you want to go to the East Shore, you may have to take the Harvey Taylor Bridge to go there, and vice versa to the West Shore.
But PennDOT says the disruption will lead to major upgrades. The existing bridge will get wider sidewalks and shoulders for vehicles to pull off, and a brand new utility bridge will also provide a dedicated crossing for pedestrians and cyclists.
When it's done, it's going to be a lot better. The utility bridge will be a great addition for pedestrian mobility, and the bridge itself will be in much better shape.
The eastern span was built in 1928 and is on the National Register of Historic Places. PennDOT says preserving that history is a part of the project.
You know, there's a lot of really unique components about this bridge that we need to maintain.
PennDOT is taking public comment on the project online until September 7th and will hold an in-person open house in Harrisburg on August 17th. Milena Brown, Fox 43 News.
For more than 200 years, the Millersburg Ferry has been carrying passengers between Dauphin and Perry counties. Today, it's the last ferry still operating on the Susquehanna River. Fox 43's Grant Carlton takes us aboard the historic ride.
And you see the Wiccanisco Creek, the mountain range.
Long before bridges spanned the Susquehanna, crossing the river looked much different. What began with flat-bottom boats pushed by hand has evolved into one of Pennsylvania's most unique pieces of living history. Over 2 centuries later, you can still take a trip on America's last all-wooden, double-stern-wheel ferry boat.
In 1817, there were really only 2 bridges across the Susquehanna River, so there were hundreds of ferries. Just a flat-bottom boat, and they'd stick poles in the water and push themselves across the river. Shortly after the Civil War, they went to steam-powered boats, and so they purchased a couple of steam-powered boats, and that allowed them to move things quicker.
As the Millersburg Ferry evolved to eventually carry automobiles, heavier steam-powered boats required a new solution. A rock ferry wall was built in the late 1800s to create a deeper channel, the same ferry wall that's maintained and utilized to this day.
They paid farmers about 5 cents a day to walk out into the middle of the river and stack river rock.
With more than 200 years of operation, the Susquehanna River can still test the Millersburg Ferry. Last summer's low water levels and dry conditions forced the season to end about a month earlier than normal.
Really just didn't have water. So it got pretty low. I think the last day we ran, it was bumping across most of the way and broke a couple paddles.
Even when Mother Nature throws a curveball, Captain Stoddard says sharing the ferry's story with all generations makes every trip worthwhile.
Captain gave us some really good origins of how it started. I learned a lot. And afterwards, to make it even better, we got some ice cream.
Everybody that comes on the ferry is happy. They want to learn about it, and that's what I enjoy doing, is talking about the boats, talking about the history of them, and talking about the history of the river.
If you'd like to learn more about the Millersburg Ferry, including its rich history and hours of operation, we have a link on our website, fox43.com. Grant Carlton, Fox 43 News.
Doctors say more people are using cryotherapy to help with recovery. Coming up, we'll explain how it works and who may benefit from it. A popular wellness trend is giving people the cold shoulder in a good way. Cryotherapy uses extremely cold temperatures in hopes of easing inflammation and speeding up recovery. In this week's Health Smart report, Fox 43's Amy Lutz shows us why some people say it's the coolest way to recover.
Ice cold air. Once it clears, you'll find one of the fastest growing recovery trends around: cryotherapy.
It's a whole body cryotherapy chamber, and the primary function of it is to eliminate inflammation in your body.
Rob Hunt at Your Best Life MD in York Township says temperatures can reach a balmy 150 to 160 degrees below zero.
It's like being in the Arctic.
You're in there 2 or 3 minutes and you're out. It's quick.
With zero downtime, patients can have the treatment done up to 3 times a week. Hunt says it's great for athletes, weightlifters, and people dealing with arthritis or chronic inflammation. As an avid weightlifter, Hunt says he uses it often.
When I come in, I'm stiff. When I take my ring and watch off, they're tight. And when I get out of the machine, I go to put them back on and they're so loose because the inflammation's gone that the ring can hardly stay on my hand.
Hunt says while cryotherapy is safe and pain-free, it's not for everyone. Pregnant women and people with certain heart conditions or recent heart attacks are not candidates. At about $50 a session, Hunt says more and more people are turning to one of the hottest recovery trends, despite being one of the coldest treatments around.
For more information on cryotherapy, visit this story on our website, fox43.com. With your Health Smart report, Amy Lutz, Fox 43 News.
Doctors recently performed a first-of-its-kind minimally invasive heart surgery at WellSpan York Hospital. The procedure, known as transmitral valve replacement, involves inserting a catheter through the leg and working it up to the heart to expand a new heart valve. This is the first time the surgery was performed on a patient in Pennsylvania. Dover native Kenneth Moritz says he feels well after the procedure and adds he was able to return home from the hospital a day after the surgery.
I have a lot of faith in Dr. Rear. And I even told him, I'll be number one if you want. I just need this done. So there was no hesitation.
Doctors say the procedure is meant as a safer option for older adults and patients with underlying health conditions who don't qualify for open heart surgery. A York County native is offering people comfort on their hardest days. Coming up in this week's On the Bright Side, how she's making a difference through music. A York County native is turning compassion into a calling, one song at a time. In this week's On the Bright Side, Fox 43's Gabrielle Mediak shares how she's bringing comfort to people through music in their time of need.
It's long been said, where words fail, music speaks. York native Katie Craven first picked up the flute in elementary school. Today, she's using her talent to bring strangers comfort during their toughest moments.
Grieving the loss of a loved one is extremely difficult, and a lot of people don't know where to turn, or, music provides comfort.
The idea grew from her time working in senior living communities.
And as some of the residents were starting to pass away, I just started offering, hey, your loved one really enjoyed when I played the flute. If you want me to come and play, I can.
Now, Craven offers to play at end-of-life services completely free of charge, all throughout South Central Pennsylvania.
I always believe if there's something that I can easily do to help other people, then why not do it?
She tailors every performance to each person's individual journey.
Sometimes I play music as kind of like the background at maybe a celebration of life. A lot of times it's, the central musical piece, particularly in a church or a funeral home. And I ask the families, I provide a list of suggestions, but I say, whatever your loved one's favorite song is.
And the mission is personal for her. She even played at her own father's funeral.
it kind of feels like I am honoring him or kind of speaking to him through my music.
While she often walks into services knowing very little about the person she's playing for,
by the time I leave, it's like I hear their story through their loved ones, through, you know, the poetry that people might say or their eulogy or whatever it may be. And by the time I leave, I'm like, oh wow, that was a really cool person. That was love.
and through her music, she's making sure no one has to carry the weight of grief alone.
Again, if you know someone who could benefit from Katie's services, she offers her time and talent at no cost. You can find a link to contact her right now on fox43.com. As always, if you have some good news or something happening in your life you'd like to share, you can send me an email at gmediac@fox43.com. On the bright side, I'm Gabrielle Mediac. National Roller Coaster Day is almost here. How Hershey Park built itself into a destination for thrill seekers and what the process looks like when considering a new attraction. Sunday is National Roller Coaster Day, and when you're talking about the best roller coaster amusement parks in the country, you can't have that conversation without discussing Hershey Park. Fox 43's Alex Cawley takes a look into the past, present, and future of the sweetest place on earth as a go-to spot for coaster lovers of all ages.
It's a sound that's easily recognizable and usually followed by...
We are lucky enough to have 15 coasters here at Hershey Park, which is the most in the Northeast. We are the largest park in Pennsylvania. We have something for everybody, from mild to wild.
To see where it all began, we'll jump on the Jolly Rancher remix and go backwards to 1923, when Milton Hershey had the Wildcat built in honor of the 20th anniversary of the town of Hershey. That lasted until 1945, when it was replaced by the Comet, the last roller coaster bought by Mr. Hershey. At 80 years old, the coaster is still a staple.
It was painted green. It blended in with the landscape. It's been painted white for quite some time, and it just pops. So it is one of those first coasters that people ride as kids, but then grandparents come back and take their grandkids on because they remember it.
New rides and coasters would occasionally pop up over the years, but the 90s changed everything.
It was called the Roller Coaster Wars because everybody was trying to outdo their neighbors and trying to provide a balanced product. In order to do that, we added family-friendly, thrill-seeking, back to family-friendly, which caused rapid growth in our ride lineup. But it allowed us to put together a roller coaster collection that is looked highly upon in our industry.
If you think some coasters' lines can be long,
now get ready, here we go.
The process to get a new ride begins years before anything is announced.
Those conversations will start well in advance before we're even interested in purchasing or have a plot of land that we have, that we're interested in placing their attraction. So we are big into relationships with manufacturers and learning what they have new, technology advancements, but it can be anywhere between 5 to 10 years that we have a ride kind of on our radar to be able to put in the park.
To understand the amount of time needed, one has to really understand just how many factors are involved.
What does the ground underneath the ride look like? What are the other rides doing around that new ride? Or what is the food and beverage offering? So not only just the topography, but the placement within the park and how it affects the overall guest flow. The other part is how many people can we put through in an hour? Is it going to be too busy? Is it going to complement the other rides? It's all kind of a big jigsaw puzzle that's always changing and moving.
Sometimes new rides means creating space by getting rid of some old ones.
We're looking at ride popularity when it comes to how they stack up against each other. The other components that we're looking at, what are overall maintenance costs? How easy is it to find parts from that certain manufacturer?
Still, while the new rides are exciting, Hershey knows some rides are too iconic to even consider removing.
There's certain attractions that we call our sacred cows. So they're rides like Kissing Tower, Super Duper Looper, Comet. those attractions, whatever it takes.
Believe it or not, the I Survived Super Duper Looper, the ride that's turning 50 in 2027, that t-shirt is still one of the highest selling products in our gift shops.
Hershey Park turned 120 years old this year, and the park has learned a lot over that time. But just like the park in that span, the park goers are also changing.
Ride manufacturers now are taking a look at how do you make the riding experience different, more so than just tall, fast, upside down, but how do you ride within a ride vehicle?
And Hershey will continue to have coasters that grow with the people walking through their gates.
We add in coasters, from the most thrilling coasters with Sky Rush to some of the smaller coasters for our younger guests with Coco Cruiser, Trailblazer. That definitely goes into the planning process of what does that add for the family as a whole.
Alex Cawley, Fox 43.
Wildcats Revenge was named the best new roller coaster in 2023 and was runner-up for the best coaster this year. And the 80-year-old Comet has been designated by the American Coaster Enthusiasts as a roller coaster landmark. And that's going to do it for Fox 43 Featured. Thanks for spending part of your day with us and have a good one.